So today we are going to be sketching this scene. I've got it up in the corner here, and you can see loose colours, adding a few people in, and just getting this feel of perspective going down the street. Hello everybody, it is Toby again from Toby's Urban Sketch, and we're doing another quick line and wash watercolour sketch here. Going to be starting with a 0.4mm Unipin fine liner, moving on to some loose colours. And you can see we've got this sort of 1-point perspective scene, kind of a little bit of 2-point perspective coming up on this side, but mostly it's all about this sort of street going off into the distance. So let's just get started. You can see I've got this is A4 paper, cold pressed, very lightly textured, and we're going to go for an A4 orientation, and we're going to kind of frame it in the middle of this piece of paper, this image. So let's just go. I'm going to start on the outside here, and this just sets the scene for the entire image. What I'm going to do is just go along and pick out each building one by one. And the reason I'm doing it this way around is because of this 1-point perspective. We want to really capture the idea of these buildings just disappearing off into the distance, keeping things nice and loose. There's a little building at the top here. And then now this sort of curves a bit, doesn't it, this building? And then at the end it's a building which we can actually see facing us, so we lose a bit of that perspective. And we come down and we can start on the other side of the street. And good just to compare where we're at. So the top of this building here, just below the top of the other building, and then it goes almost vertically up, so incredible sort of angles of perspective there. And then when we come down, we've actually got a man kind of blocking the way. We're going to ignore him. Just going to come down and then capture this line, which again is almost, not quite, but almost vertical. And so already, just in a few lines, we've very much set out our scene, haven't we? Now, let's start adding a few details and things. So I'm going to work along again. I'm going to go and just get all these shop fronts as our first port of call, and just picking out all these little signs. Not all of them have signs, some of them are just brickwork, and as we get into the distance it's just a mess of lines, isn't it? Can't really tell what's going on, so we can just simulate that mess by adding some lines. And then let's bring out a little bit more detail even still. So in the places we can see it, we can add the sort of actual shape that we can see. So you can see where the doorways are and things like that. And even in the windows you can see, this is an estate agent, so it's got all these pictures of houses. Then the next one along's got another door. And then there's a very dark door here. And then we're just building up the idea of what's going on. Then let's get some of these windows. So again, just nice and loose, nice and simple. Just going to work along, and I'm getting less accurate with the number of windows and more just sort of popping windows in at this point. Trying again to keep the perspective. Do you see how the bottom tops of these windows are following approximate lines of perspective? And this building's different. We've also got some other things to sort of start thinking about at the top, haven't we? And again, just working around, grabbing little details here and there. There's a nice sign which we're going to just pop in here. Getting those little overlapping touches can be really fun. And we've got this road to get some little touches in as well. And this is all still about very much about managing the perspective. Then we can start working in what's going on here, and this is sort of a very challenging perspective to work with, but we've got some really big shapes that we can use to basically anchor what's going on. So this middle shape is a nice anchor point, I would say, and then as we get close, we can open it out and really get the impression of those windows. And again, it's building it up slowly, gradually, little dots here and there, and we're almost there for a nice loose and quick sketch. I think it's time to add a bit of tone and things, even with our pen. So we can add maybe some just hatching down here, just to start getting that shadow already before even our colours. And we can do the same in some of these areas. And then along there. And it's just about making it easy, making it fun to add the colours, taking away any of the challenge really. This can get hatched just to show it's on a different plane. It's sort of turned round. And then we've got these kind of balconies which we can start to just suggest. Sort of Julian balconies, I think they're called, really short ones. And underneath them, of course, is a load of shadow. So let's get that in. And this is also in shadow, so big, long, vertical hatching. And lastly, we've got shadow coming out. And now our image is sort of taking shape. I'm just going to change the exposure. So time now to have a bit of fun and start splashing on some of these colours. So just going to use a big mop brush today, my normal size 2 mop brush. I'm going to start with lots of water, and we're going to use this water to do the sky, and then we're going to bring it down, join everything up, and get all those shadow areas nice and wet as well. Now we're just going to take a nice blue. So I've got, for example, this is a phthalo blue, and then mix a little bit of cobalt with it, and we'll end up with a nice bright blue which can just do its own thing in the sky there. And then we can bring it down here, and it starts to just become those shadows already. And then we can start playing with some other colours. So let's get a bit of burnt umber in there. And just let that start bringing out some of these duller shadow tones. And then we've got lots and lots of light over here. So we want to leave lots of plain paper, I think. But let's use some nice warm yellow. So this is a quinacridone gold, just to sort of sing a little bit. Another yellow, this is a lemon yellow. And then let's get some of this brown in as well. So again, we're just starting to make things sort of unified in their feel and in what colours we're using. And we can link in the middle as well. Nice to just keep touching in colours and lifting out patches and making things interesting and varied. We can start mixing some really deep colours as well. So we just get our blues and our brown together. We can start popping in some of these much darker tones. Just a few places to simulate those shadows. And then let's take some punches of yellow again, and just playing with colours is all we're doing, just little touches to gradually build up this sort of variation and let things just do their own thing and then react to it. I'm going to add in a little touch of red because it's my favourite colour, and I love getting these punches of red. There are little red signs here and there if I want to justify my use of red, but also I think it just adds to the image. Okay, and then come back in again with something nice and dark, so make up a thicker mix of our brown and blue, and really emphasize again some of these areas. I'm just going to loosely give this side a shadow as well, but not all the way, just touch it in places. And then come and touch in some more blues. Get all that lovely variation going. And there we go. So while that's moving, we can respond to these sort of cauliflower shapes by lifting bits of colour out, and then you're getting this exaggerated cauliflower here against a patch of relative light, and you just add so much more variation. We can drop in a bit of dark in the middle, and that will give us some more interesting shapes as well. And then can keep just deepening some of these areas, playing with what colours are there. And even perhaps you want to lift out areas here, and suddenly we've got more shape. This big shape, which we called an anchor when we were sketching, is now nice and bright and white. Perhaps you could do the same in a window, or even another line down here. And it's just about gradually creating those interesting, loose and pretty variations in the colour. I think that's enough of the watercolour for now. So I'm going to let this dry, and then I think we'll add a couple more little pen details just to take it to the next stage. So we're now nice and dry, and you can see we've sort of got these lovely patterns settled everywhere, colours sort of washing around and doing interesting things. Like I said, time to just add a couple of little bits more of our pen work. So the things I'm particularly interested in, we've got this sign, and we can just outline it and maybe even just pick out that writing on it. And then it's thinking about other little details like that. So if we look across here, we've got a couple of wires, and there's another one coming along like so, and around them they've got other wires and little lights hanging off, so just popping in things like that. There's another sign here which we could add, just helps a little bit with the sort of feel of the perspective as well. We could have this writing. So it says bookstore. And what else can we do? Well, we can sort of enliven a couple of our lines and just make them a little bolder. And then we can also, where we've got shadowed areas and lots of colours, we can just go back and lift a few of those lines. If we wanted to, we could go quite extensively, go around like everything and really make things more and more bold. But I think today I'm feeling more sort of like just doing little fine touches, little bits here and there. There's also the option to add a few people in. There's lots of people in this scene. So why don't we just see what happens if we've got all this colour? What happens if we just add in some people on top? Let's just go for it and see what happens. So I'm going to start with people on this far pavement, and I'm going to be taking ideas from the people that are there, but also, got to fit it into my sketch and how I want it to look. So just doing these really simple doodles of people. Can even make it like super simple, just making a circle, circle, circle. That's plenty of sort of detail to make it seem like a real person in just a sketch, in a sketch form. Really don't need much in the way of detail at all. Get these close people in, just exaggerating their height difference a little bit, and you can just start to build up the feeling of a busy street here. Just got another couple here, and remember the heads are all going to be approximately the same height, give or take, and then the feet, wherever you place the feet, that's where you're sort of setting the height of the person. And in between that, you just have to get the body proportion approximately right, There we go. You don't even have to finish off all the lines of people. We're just adding them with little ghosted suggestions, and I think these have worked quite well. So I'm gonna stop there. We've got a nice busy street. We've added people, we've added little details. We've got nice wishy-washy colours going around, and I think I'm happy with that for a quick sketch this morning. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If so, please do let me know. Any feedback in the comments, always welcome. And lovely having you along for the sketch today.